Clinics in Singapore are seeing a surge in patients as COVID-19 infections rise to record levels. 140,000 SMS messages inviting seniors to get their booster shots, and that's just the start. And what you need to know about the new SNAP work-from-home rules starting tomorrow. Good evening, you're watching The Big Story. I'm Haryanto Diman. Now you can subscribe to the Straits Times channel so you never miss a single episode. With daily COVID-19 cases at record highs in recent days, GP clinics and private medical providers are seeing a surge in the number of patients coming in for swab tests. They include those who have tested positive on antigen rapid tests, as well as those who have received COVID-19 health risk warnings or alerts. But to prevent any infection spreading within the clinics, GPs told the Straits Times that anyone who tested positive in their self-test will be prioritized. Last Friday, the COVID-19 task force urged people with mild acute respiratory infection symptoms to avoid going to hospitals' A&E departments, which are coming under pressure. MOH said yesterday that more hospital beds are being diverted to COVID-19 cases. But when the current situation has stabilized, 10 to 15% of COVID-19 patients are expected to need hospital care. That's according to Singapore's Director of Medical Services, Associate Professor Kenneth Mark, whom my colleague journalist Cheryl Tan spoke to yesterday. Cheryl joins me now. Welcome to the show, Cheryl. As we transition to endemicity, what did Prof. Mark say about managing COVID-19 patients so that hospitals don't become overwhelmed?
So Prof. Mark yesterday said that, now that home recovery will be the default care option, especially for those who are aged 12 to 69 and have mild to no symptoms. He expects that around 50% of the patients will be able to recover at home. So all of those who are infected but are unable to isolate themselves safely, such as, if they have common facilities with their family members, then they will have to be placed in community care facilities. And on Sunday, MOH also introduced a new category of community care facilities. And this enhanced version will cater to those who are at risk of deterioration, such as elderly and those with multiple illnesses. So around 30% of this group of people will actually recover from CCFs. So that leaves us with the remaining maybe 10 to 15% who have severe illness from getting infected, and they will be admitted to the hospitals. So with this, we won't expect hospitals to continue being overwhelmed and can then ensure a standard level of care to be given to these patients.
Cheryl, given the introduction of self-isolation and home recovery, does that mean Singapore is not prioritizing the prevention of the spread of infection?
No, actually. So Prof. Mark yesterday said that the basic tenets of preventing spread is still there, especially because there are unvaccinated people who can get seriously ill, require the ICU, or possibly die from the disease. It's just that the responsibility has now shifted from the government to the individual. So people are now required to take a lot more personal and social responsibility in self-isolating and preventing transmission.
Thank you so much, Cheryl, for the sharing. That was Cheryl Tan, journalist for the Straits Times. Meanwhile, Singapore's vaccine booster program has sent out 140,000 SMS invitations to seniors so far, and more will follow. Those 60 years old and above who've received an SMS can proceed to get their third dose at any vaccination centre, polyclinic or participating public health preparedness clinic. They must make an appointment via the personalized link in their SMS sent to their mobile number. The first batch of eligible seniors would have completed their first 2 jabs around March this year. Popular Nasi Padang restaurant Haja MAIMUNAH has temporarily closed its outlets following a COVID-19 related incident at one of them. It currently has 5 branches and also runs catering services. In a Facebook post, Haja MAIMUNAH said pre-orders will be cancelled and refunded and that new orders will not be accepted. It also advised recent patrons to monitor their health closely. Starting tomorrow, a new SNAP work-from-home regimen will be in place. According to the current rules, staff members who are able to work from home are to do so for 14 days if they've had contact with a positive case at work within the 7 days prior. But under the new regimen, this SNAP arrangement will take effect only if 3 or more employees working in the same premises test positive within a period of 7 straight days. The duration of the enforced WFH will also be cut down to 10 days, as long as workers are able to work from home. The Manpower Ministry said the new SNAP WFH period will start the day after the latest positive test result of the 3rd employee. Workers, including on-site contractors and vendors, can return to office for ad hoc reasons if they test negative on an antigen rapid test. How much of an impact would these latest changes have on businesses? Well, let's find out from Vice President of the Association of Small and Medium Enterprises, Ang Yuet. Welcome back to the show, Ang Yuet. The duration of enforced WFH will be cut down to 10 days. Tell us, how would that affect operations?
I think for most SMEs, whether it is 14 or 10 days, right, it is still a period where we have to cope with it. So of course, for companies that need to be on site and need to have their workers right there, having an additional 4 days and cutting it down from 14 down to 10 does make some difference in terms of their work productivity. For the majority of them, the fact that they have to prepare for a snap lockdown still means that there wouldn't be much change in terms of their preparedness, and wouldn't be much change in terms of how they brace themselves for potentially that happening.
Ang Yuet, the other condition as well, the other change is the new regimen will only kick in if 3 or more employees working in the same premises test positive within 7 straight days. How did that change go down with your association members? How did they react to that?
I think that this is really quite new, and many members are still digesting, right? What actually is the implication of such a policy? But I think the reality is that for SMEs, the worry and the fear is the fact that they have to conform to such policies, and sometimes they don't have the capacity to keep up with the administration and the information flow as well, right? And for most SMEs, I think the fact that it is three people, right? The fact that it's three person, and then it's 7 straight days. I think it does mean that there is the ability for them to maintain work and maintain the momentum of being in the office, compared to previously when it was just a broad-based snap lockdown. But it also means that for them, there's a lot more administration to handle in terms of testing, pre-testing, and regular testing. So I think for companies that are really wanting their staff to be with them, and because of the way their business are operating, they would then step up in terms of how the administration and how the processes are going to operate to conform to this. Now, for many other companies that may think that, hey, this may not be something that we want to be saddled with in terms of administration and the worry, right, that we have to deal with changes in policies. Many may just deal with working from home during this duration, and deal with the fact that there may be lower productivity, but greater degree of stability, right? At least clarity that, okay, we are all going to be safe, and no matter how the policies are tweaked, we still won't be too greatly affected by this.
Well, thank you so much for your sharing, Ang Yuet, and of course for taking time off to come on to the show. We've been speaking to Ang Yuet, VP at the Association of Small and Medium Enterprises. In other headlines, from September 30th, nearly 44,000 employers will receive Jobs Support Scheme payouts totaling over $900 million. These cover wages from April to July and include the enhanced payouts during the Phase 2 and 3 heightened alert periods in July and August. Since the scheme was introduced in February 2020, more than $27.6 billion in GSS support would have been given out. And the next payout for wages paid after July 31st will be disbursed in December. 18 people have been arrested for suspected illegal labor importation following a 12-hour-long enforcement operation last Tuesday. The Manpower Ministry said it began its investigations in July upon getting information of a foreigner's attempts to acquire a work pass illegally. Through detailed analysis over a few months, MOM uncovered a potential syndicate suspected of setting up shell companies to apply for work passes, even though they had no legitimate business operations. And in sports, in the upcoming AFF Suzuki Cup, Singapore has been drawn in the same group as five-time champions Thailand, as well as Myanmar, the Philippines, and the winner of single-leg qualifier between Brunei and Timor-Leste. In the other group are defending champions Vietnam, together with Malaysia, Indonesia, Cambodia, and Laos. But will the Lions make it to the knockout stages to meet these Group B teams? Well, let's hear from sports correspondent David Lee.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty decent draw, with the exception of the teams from Pot 5. I feel any team can make it to the semi-finals. But let's be frank about it. If we can't beat the likes of Brunei or Timor-Leste or even Myanmar, then we don't deserve to qualify. I think you look at the draw, our key match will be against Philippines. And here's where I would have preferred Indonesia over the Philippines, because the Filipinos have really improved by leaps and bounds since they started using few foreign players. They are a cosmopolitan side with many mixed heritage players who are physically imposing. And there were never more than 2 goals in our last 8 encounters against them, which shows you how close the matches are. So this match should decide who makes the Final Four. Yes, I know our recent Suzuki Cup history have been terrible because we were bundled out of the group stage in 2014, 2016, and 2018. But we were also playing well against strong Middle Eastern teams before COVID struck. So I feel the boys have to be up for it. COVID has been a great leveler. So there are new elements to cope with, such as whether overseas-based players will be affected by travel restrictions and quarantine. And we do have a few of these overseas-based players, but other countries should have more. So I feel many of our national team players have been playing week in, week out, most of them with Lion City Sailors. So if they are training together and playing together, that should help. And I'm excited about the impact of our new citizen, Song Woo-yong, and the impact he can bring in midfield. I believe we have a good core of players who are capable of making it to the last 4.
Well, Singapore and Thailand are favourites to host the AFF Suzuki Cup, and a decision should be unveiled in a few weeks. Singapore has been reporting record COVID-19 numbers though, while Thailand had over 12,700 cases yesterday. That being said, the tournament is still months away from December 5th to January 1st. Another part of Spain's La Palma Island has been forced to evacuate in the aftermath of the Canaries archipelago's first volcanic eruption in 50 years. Out of the island's 80,000 residents, about 6,000 have had to leave their homes so far. No fatalities or injuries reported yet, but drone footage captured black lava cutting through the landscape, advancing down the volcano's western flank towards the sea. And millions watched as K-pop superstars BTS gave a speech at the United Nations, putting the spotlight on youth issues, sustainability, and the importance of getting vaccinated against COVID-19. And BTS even treated fans to a special performance of their hit song Permission to Dance that was filmed inside and around the UN building in New York. One line in the song sums it up best: "Don't need to talk the talk, just walk the walk." Well, those are our top stories for today. For more news and videos, visit straitstimes.com and remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel by hitting the red button below. Once again, I'm Haryanto Diman. See you tomorrow on The Big Story.